Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. April 11th, 2019, 10:50 p.m. And we are going to be talking about this nuisance of a storm, bomb cyclone Wesley. First thing I thought about when I saw the name was Roadhouse and Patrick Swayze screaming Wesley towards the end of the movie. I'm sure Roadhouse fans will know what I'm talking about, but that was a little bit of a joke there. Anyway, take a look at these temperatures, guys, because this is playing a significant part in this bomb cyclone everyone's been talking about. The bomb cyclone happening around this area. If you could see my mouse, we're going to look at this in much more detail, but I want you to see the temperatures that are actually affecting why this is happening the way it's happening, why certain things aren't happening here, certain things are happening here, and then bomb cyclone city right here, ground zero, as we always say. This is where these storms, they just blow up, and then when they're not blowing up over land, they are bomb cycloning in the northeast as a nor'easter. Remember, a bomb cyclone is when a lower pressure system drops 24 millibars in a 24-hour period or sooner. We've seen this in hurricanes, we've seen this with nor'easters, and we're seeing it with bomb cyclones in the dead center of the country. So, these things have changed rules. Weather's rules are changing. As I've always said, there are no set rules in weather. You go by data, you go by what you have at hand, and then you move on to the next day and you make adjustments. That's all you can do. It's very, very hard to predict weather down to an absolute how do I put it? An absolute guarantee. It never happens unless you get lucky, and sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't, but like I said, all we could do is sit here and do the best we can about explaining situations and why they're happening. So with that said, check this out, guys. This is the last couple hours going into current time. You see how that 9 symbol is popping up, but the difference here, guys, is that this 9 symbol is pulling moisture straight across the Baja region of Mexico, and then it's going to continue to switch to the Gulf. Then the source is going to be the water from the Gulf. It is warming up. This water will eventually be pulled up by this bomb cyclone, recycled back into the Midwest, and continue this storm. So this storm has multiple fuel sources. You can see there's fuel. As far as fuel, when I say fuel, I mean moisture. Moisture is fuel. That's why when you have a hurricane that is half over land, half over water, it's got a fuel source that is continuing to keep that storm strong, even though it's half over land, half over water. That over water half is continuing to produce that second half to cause damage. Now, eventually they do weaken as they go inland. It depends on the direction, but this thing has all sorts of fuel, and you can see as this thing gets pushed up farther and farther towards the north, towards Canada, we start seeing purples. That's snow. That is deep, deep moisture. That is where the cold temperatures are. That is why we're seeing snow in the upper areas of New York. A good friend of mine, Richard O'Hanlon on Twitter, he is an earth science teacher in upstate New York and posts videos all day, every day, even as early as today, posting this weird-looking snow that fell where he lives, which is just unbelievable because it's not snowing in southeast Pennsylvania or northeast Pennsylvania. It was fairly warm today. It's getting cold in the shade, but this big monster thing we're looking at right now is heading right towards us. So with that said, counties as of now involved in this winter storm warning. I don't know why they're calling this a winter storm. We are in spring. Yes, it involves snow. It's a storm. It's just not winter. Spring, snowstorm, however you want to call it, guys. All I know is that this looks like a bag of Skittles up here, and that means there's a lot going on. So reds, let's check it out. What are reds? Blizzard warnings. So we have blizzard warnings in the Dakotas, clearly both the Dakotas and Minnesota. We have the greens. See, they change these colors sometimes, guys, so I got to come down and check them every so often. Now, this could be lakeshore flood advisory. Are we getting close enough to the lakes up there? No, obviously not. This would be flood warning, I would assume, as far as these greens going, because they're very similar in color. I would assume this is flood. Even though it's closer to the Canadian border, it should be involved in the winter storm. I don't know how this is going to flood here where it's so cold. Nothing to flood when it's freezing to either side of it. Your guess is as good as mine. All I know is that this is where the bomb cyclone is expected to peak. It has already dumped 24 inches of snow in parts of North Dakota, South Dakota. Blizzards going on as we speak via traffic cams I've been watching in North Dakota, South Dakota, and also Kansas, Oklahoma, too. So we don't want to forget about them down here. So this thing is wrapping up, and it's pulling moisture down into this area. This is also aiding in these red flag warning winds on the west side of Texas. So all this stuff is playing a part in itself, all from one lower pressure system. Sorry, guys. Had a little bit of a hiccup there. They just come out of nowhere sometimes. So let's take a look. These greens are very similar to these. These are flood warnings. I guess it seems like it's a little warmer up in this area. It didn't seem that way. Yes, it did. Look at that. Perfectly. 51 degrees, 53 degrees, then 43. So this little pocket right here is aiding in this area being flooded. So just check that out, how these maps match up. This one little section of 50 degrees is causing flooding, and then on either side of it, it's 40-something degrees, and then you notice that's where the freeze watches are. So it's just sometimes very, very incredible to see how these charts match up. I always say that to you guys because I want you to learn these charts. Same thing here on the county by county. Flood, frozen, frozen. You go back to temperature. There's your explanation right there. Same deal with the parts of California before the Nevada mountains or the Sierra Nevada mountains, and then once you see those mountains blue, that's because they're higher elevation, and then there's snow on them. And then sometimes you'll see a yellow gap here. That's because the snow is literally rolling over that area and then landing even hundreds of miles past the underside of the mountain. So you'll see a clearing here and then snow here. So our geography on the continental U.S. causes different changes in weather, just like the Great Lakes do with lake effect snow. All right, I'm trailing off here. Let's get back to this storm. Let's get a better view of it. Let's take a look at it on Tropical Tidbits. You can clearly see these are blizzard conditions when you get those dark blues in there. That is within the Dakotas, absolutely. This does look a little into the future because we are talking the 12th. So if I go back really quick to this set of data, we can see what happened a couple hours ago, and you can see how that blizzard condition situation had been in the Dakotas. It is now moving out, and it's going to continue to move into the Great Lakes region. That might include Michigan, as long as this warm air does not get pulled up soon enough to maybe save them from this. Now, as I move forward, you're going to notice this is going to turn into a rain event for the Northeast. That's because the dip in the jet stream is finally pulling up, just not soon enough to get Minnesota and these places that are getting absolutely hammered with this bomb cyclone. Unfortunately, the warm water being pulled from the Gulf, or the warm air rather, did not get there soon enough. We could see some snow build up from another high pressure system pressing down on this moisture. You will expect to see a low pressure system more than likely come out of this area and then force this moisture upwards. In fact, that's probably the L system right there. If we move forward, that will begin to push this upwards. Let's see if I'm right. There it is right there. Perfect. So notice you're going to see a lot of, even though it's not marked with an H, you're going to see snow scattered here. A system always comes down from here. A system always comes up from here. Ground zero. I know I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 times more. Once they meet, that's when things like this happen, guys. Severe, severe weather coming to this area of the country. We need to prepare for this. This is tornado stuff. This is very, very strong hail. This is why all the storm chasers are out right now, reinforcing their trucks, replacing windshields, showing in their hands softball sized hail, guys. Not golf ball, not tennis ball, softball sized hail. I saw pictures that Caroline sent me of a woman and child in the hospital just beaten, like pulverized by hail. It's just like you're not used to seeing this stuff. I mean, unless you're out looking for it, I guess maybe you can find it in the past, but it just seems like it's being thrown in our face more and more. And then one more time, guys. After this bomb cyclone passes through, we're talking right now is the 11th. So I just want you to take a look at the action going on between now and the next couple days that we could expect in this country. So here's the bomb cyclone. That's going to come and go. It looks like it's going to move up into Canada. That's going to make its way towards Nova Scotia and the UK. We're going to see what happens then. I got to start talking to them more about their weather. I have a lot of UK and Ireland friends that I'm not forgetting about, just trying to get the main weather out to people as much as I can with the timing I have, guys. Trust me, I want to get to every single one of you. It is my goal. I will get there, I promise. And you guys know that I live up to my promises. Whether it takes a long time or a little time, I will get all your pictures out there. I'll get all your special requests out there. That is the point of my channel. So, once again, here is that bomb cyclone we are dealing with now. Already pulling up strong thunderstorms right at the belly of Iowa. This is moving straight up to the Great Lakes, guys. So we got to keep an eye out on the Ohio River Valley, because even though we have a snowstorm on top of it, that does not change the fact that tornadoes and strong hail can cause very significant damage, even though we have super cold temperatures right above it. Like, this is that mix we're talking about between winter changing over into spring. We get this mess. And then the same thing with spring transferring to summer. We get days where it's 50, we get days where it's 90. That's that transition. And then the transition from summer to fall, you go from basically the same thing as spring to summer, and then from fall to winter, it could be anything from 60 degrees to 30 degrees the next night. So we got to start understanding that we're going to be dealing with drastic temperature changes. It's not going to be this smooth movement into a new season, in my opinion, anymore. We may get one of those in the next couple of years, but that's not going to be the norm. The norm is going to be a dramatic change, in my opinion. I may be wrong, and if time goes by and I am wrong, you know me. I will come out and I will admit that I was wrong about that. That was an estimated guess based on what I have learned over the past couple of years. This concerns me. April 20th, towards the end of the year. We're 9 days away from this date right here. This is very, very strong. Very, very heavy rain. Reds up in southeast Pennsylvania, stretching all the way through central New York, up through Canada. Now, this is going to involve the Carolinas too, guys. You got to understand, this has a lot of time to change, and the stronger this system gets as it makes its way across the U.S. is going to determine how much of the coast it's going to affect. So, with that said, remember, if this is a low pressure system, counterclockwise winds will bring a lot of this moisture and into this blue section, which is frozen, and then pull that right down into the Great Lakes. Hopefully it's warm enough. Hopefully the jet stream dip up. You can see the red here. The jet stream is lifting up, allowing the warm air to come up for it to be rain, as opposed for the down dip where that cold air comes down. That dip is right here. The up dip is right here. So if this moves over, that down dip will take over. If this stays still, the warm weather will stay in place and keep this out of the way. But as you move this forward, you kind of see it wraps around a little bit. We get a little bit of that snow on the west end of New York come the 21st. So, oh man, for those of you still following me on that, I hope you understood what I said there. Basically, this is what I want you to focus on for the next day or two, is this bomb cyclone, the effects of it, what you and your families need to do to prepare for it. If it's heading your way, I know I was a little bit late getting to it, so a lot of this has come and gone, like I said, in the Dakotas, but we still have time to warn people in front of this storm, and that is places anything to the east of the Dakotas at this point. Minnesota already getting hit. Iowa, I assume you're going to get some down dips and get hit in your northern areas. And then, of course, Michigan, Ohio, and then we got to worry about the Northeast with the rain and the severe weather going on there. So, with that said, I'm going to check another chart for you guys. Now, right here, I want to show you guys that we are looking at Winter Storm Wesley. This was put out 3 hours ago. So Winter Storm Wesley impacts power outages, icy roads remain across Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota. So basically they're talking about here what happened with this storm. This was 3 hours ago. I believe I could play a couple seconds of this unless they're going to show an ad.
Dear Sports.
Which they are, so I'm not going to play that, unfortunately, guys. I'm sorry, but I just want to read these stats to you. Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota. We're still feeling the storm effects. The Minnesota Twins postponed their Friday night opener against the Detroit Tigers. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Doubleheader next. Most interstates were reopened by Thursday evening. That's a good thing. Like I said, this is a follow-up about what happened after this bomb cyclone. The worst of it had passed, which is now entering more of the eastern part of the country. About 50,000 people without power. I had 40,000 written down, so they updated this article in the last 20 minutes, mostly in Minnesota. So Minnesota took the brunt of this. Iowa and South Dakota, as we all saw, those states have not only been decimated with snow, but with super, super low temperatures that are just there, that you can't live in stuff like that. And if it's going to be a normal thing, it's a matter of time before things have to be changed. One person was killed in a crash in a snowplow near Denver Airport. All right, so that is very unfortunate. A little bit of an update as far as this goes. This is 2 hours ago. Let's see what we got here. Wesley is currently, sorry about the mouse, guys. I'm still waiting for the new one to come in. I'm doing my best. Wesley is pounding the upper Midwest with heavy snow and strong winds. More than 20 inches of snow have fallen in parts of the plains and the upper Midwest. Blizzard warnings have been issued in the plains into early Friday. So this has been extended. This has now been extended into Saturday and possibly Sunday. This includes all areas dealing with flooding, including parts of Missouri Valley. That is the part I showed you where that little bit of warm weather was sticking out, causing rain rather than snow. So you have these little pockets of warm weather surrounded by frozen weather. It's just like you're getting 5 or 4 different seasons within a day. It's just unbelievable to some people. All right, guys, so we're going to take one more look at this chart, because this chart is really giving you the idea of what's going on here. I don't know if you could see this little bottom screen in the bottom here. Sorry if you've been able to see that. That's my recording screen. I just updated all my equipment. But I want to run through this once more for you guys. It's at frame 200 now. Here's the restart. Check out how this thing forms. And look where the moisture's coming from. Down in this area, Baja being pulled up and then counterclockwise whipped, and you could just see why all this snow is being pummeled, all this moisture, North Dakota, South Dakota, and slowly but surely this entire, picture a wall right here, and slowly pushing this entire system this way. So there's still potential for this rotation to go on over the Northeast. It's not looking like it's going to be as dramatic as this, but this is clear-cut bomb cyclone. You got strips moving up from the warm water in the Gulf, whether it be Gulf or the South Pacific, or at least the Baja Pacific. There's a reset in their data. That's a good thing. We'll get another shot. You could see another low-pressure system barreling its way down into Northern California. This is going to become an issue if it comes down this way. That's the lower pressure system I showed you before. That will in turn be pushed up to the Northeast. So, guys, all these charts match absolutely perfectly. We get our anomalies time to time, and we point those out as well, but it's very, very straightforward when you can have the right charts out. You explain why certain areas are getting warmer than others, why certain areas are experiencing certain weather than others, and the best way to explain it is that it's hard to explain. And the more and more you watch these charts, the more and more that you drill this stuff into your head and see it over and over again, you begin to just, it kind of just happens subconsciously. So I try to not go into that and assume that everyone knows what I'm talking about. I try to repeat myself and explain to those who are new subs. I know a lot of you guys heard this stuff before, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to figure out a way to maybe separate channels for those of you that are up to date on a lot of my information, and for those of you that are not. I mean, I'm doing everything I can, guys. Everything I can. Any suggestions would help, all that stuff. But bottom line is, we appreciate every single one of you sticking around with us. We try very hard to keep this channel running and up with all the competition out there. And you know what? We're just trying to be relevant. That's all. We want to help people. We want to get our ideas and our creative abilities out there. My girlfriend and I, you know, we've always been creative people. We've both done art school. We've gone to all different types of film schools, and she's a basically a doctor. So we're putting all our skills together, and we want to do something special for you guys. So it's not just going to be weather, even though weather can just I'll do weather the rest of my life and be satisfied making $50 a month. I don't even care. But with that said, guys, I had to get on here and talk to you guys. I know it's been a long winter. Next time I'll make this a live stream, but I'm gonna post this up, and you never know. Maybe we will live stream tonight. I gotta get in touch with my boy True Love, or not True Love. I believe True Love is a woman, and then I gotta get in touch with another guy, Leon, who is offering to moderate the channel during the live chats. And also, I need an opinion on Super Chat, guys. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Um, not in any way is it about money. I'm just wondering if it's like a some sort of scam, or if it's worth it. Do you get more people in the chat room? Stuff of that nature is what I'm curious about. So, all right. I believe that's it for this video. I've dragged you on for about, what, 20 good minutes, but we did get to see a nice bomb cyclone form. We got to explain why it's happening. We got to explain what could happen afterwards, and then just this picture alone. This is the stuff I save, guys, because you don't see this a lot. Very, very weird weather we're having. Straight line winds. There you go again. Cutoff zones. Basically 2 miles this way, clear skies, 2 miles that way, you are looking like it's green and it's about to have a tornado land on your head. So anyway, I'll bring back some good news maybe next time, but I miss you guys a lot. We both miss you, and I'm so glad to be back on here making a video, and that's why I don't want to stop talking, but I have to. All right, guys, miss you. I will talk to you soon. Have another video up soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.